Okay, so this is my 2004 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive, Super Duty. I am going to change the shocks. We are going to do the driver's side. I already did the passenger side, so we can kind of take a look in here and see. There's a couple things that hold it on. This one right here is an 18mm nut. Okay, there's a shaft that comes out. That shock sits onto that shaft, and then you put the nut over the top to kind of lock it in place. Then we look down low, and down low here we have a 15mm bolt right there. All right, and that goes through the bottom part of the shock, comes out on the other side, and here we have a 13/16 bolt. Sorry, not bolt, a nut. And then you have a nice little locker piece there that makes it so you don't have to hold this other side with a socket wrench. So, the other videos I've watched of people showing how to do this, they show you doing it by removing the wheel first. You don't have to do that. It's real easy. So here's what you need. You have a nice big pry bar screwdriver. You have your new shock. Here's a part number in case you were needing a part number. This one's from O'Reilly's. It was a Monroe shock. It's about $29 before tax. All right, so that's what it looks like. Now, pry bar, you need a breaker bar, you need a 15mm socket, an 18mm socket, a 13/16 socket, a 1/2" socket driver. This is kind of sad, I couldn't find my 1/2" 13/16, so I used a 3/8, and I put this sad little converter on it. It'll do for this job. So also I have a set of cutting dikes. Okay, they're kind of rusty and crappy, but they'll do the job. A nice little hammer and a light to give me a little extra assistance if need be. And also I have my assistant Cody here. All right, let's go take a look here. Hey, Cody, you want to grab the rest of this mess? So the first thing I'm gonna do is come over here and look at this shock, see if there's anything glaringly wrong with it. And I don't see anything crazy. I'm gonna hand the camera over to Cody. Can you light this up also? All right, so we're gonna get our 18mm and our 1/2" socket, put that thing in reverse. We're gonna see if we can do it with the standard 1/2" or if we need the breaker bar. All right, so I think I need a breaker bar, or I need to work out more, one or the other. Okay. All right, broke right loose. I'll give it a little extra before I switch back. This is also easier if you use an impact wrench. It goes a lot faster, but I'm just gonna do it kind of old-fashioned. All right, we can hand loosen that now. So make sure you save this. You don't usually get a new nut when you buy a new shock.
Bolt.
This is a nut.
Nut.
That's what that piece looks like. Has a nice flange on it, kind of a built-in washer to help hold the shock in place. So we've got the top loose here. Now, this is the fun one. We're gonna get the 15mm 1/2". We're going to go down low, and it's gonna be fun to film, but we're gonna hook onto that and see if we can break it loose. some people in some of the videos I've seen doing this use their torque wrench to take these bolts off because they're a little bit tight. Use a breaker bar, don't use a torque wrench. That's just not a very good idea. So I think we're at the point where we can just loosen it by hand. So now's where the hammer gets useful. Take that hammer, tap that thing back. Some guys think they need a punch to do this, but you don't have to have a punch. You just have to turn it. And it'll come eventually. There we go. So we have this nice lock nut that catches on the other side so you don't have to hold a socket. And we have this bolt. All right, so now the shock's completely loose. So take a look up here. We can just pull. All right, doesn't want to pull by hand, so now we need this pry bar. Off it goes. And then we can just lift up. So now, right here. Now we have our shock on the ground. So we have the old one out. Time to do the new one. So when we open this thing up, notice there's a little plastic strap here that kind of holds it together, keeps it compressed. Do not damage that just yet. Notice also this piece that overlaps the other piece, this one goes on top. This one goes on the bottom. All right? So, we get back in. Okay, so we were recording a minute ago and I just did the other shock right before I did this one, and the other one went in super easy. Well, the reason why this one wasn't going in super easy is because I didn't put the bottom in first. You got to put the bottom in first. So I took the top back off, shoved the bottom where it goes, and now it's where it needs to be. So make sure you put the bottom in first. Crank that top down. Now, okay. Wiggle that bolt for me, Cody.
Let's go back a little, towards you a little.
All right, there we go. Hammer, give it a little extra convincing. Okay, now we can put on our lock nut. This is just nuts. So once you get it started, you can just take your 15mm when you can't hand crank it anymore. And then you can crank it the rest of the way on. That nice and tight. And voila! We are all done. So we got this shock cranked down up here. We got it tightened up down there. It is good to go. Now my truck can stop rattling when I'm going over bumps and stuff. And of course, one nice thing is, you know, when you own a BMW, sometimes they break, maybe a lot of times they break. You got to have a good truck so that you can pull those BMWs when they're broken down. So I hope this helps you work on your BMW hauling truck, and I hope you have a good day. This has been how to change a Ford F-250 shock, and should be applicable from about '99 to 2004. Thanks and have a nice day.